Today, I'm going to model for you how I annotate a text to both increase and demonstrate my comprehension and to write a concise summary that includes the main idea and supporting details. Summarizing is one of the most complex comprehension strategies students are expected to master. To summarize well, you must first comprehend or understand what you are reading and then decide what is important, what is not so important, and how ideas within the reading are related. In health class, you will routinely read health-related articles and then write summaries that include the main idea and supporting details. There are many ways to annotate a text, but the goal is always comprehension or understanding the meaning. A great strategy to use with your health class articles is simply to chunk the text into sections and then to write a very short summary next to each small section in your own words. This will help to ensure that you really understand what you're reading, and it should help you to break down the main idea and supporting details. I'm going to show you how I do that, and if you listen carefully, you'll notice that I weave in a few other strategies as well. So we're going to start with this article, Go for #goals, which you're reading in your health class. And before I read, I always like to take a look at the title and make a prediction, and then I want to make sure that I preview the text. So in this case, looking at the title, Go for #goals, how can you turn your dreams into reality? How most people do, by setting realistic goals and breaking them down. Our gold medal guide to going after what you want. One thing that I notice is this question, and I know that when I see a question in the text, typically the answer follows, and that really cues me into the main idea of this section and probably the article. So I'm going to write down my prediction, which is really kind of a summary of this section as well. So I'm going to say, I think it's going to be about how we can achieve our goals by setting good goals, making sure that we're setting good ones, and then breaking them into small steps. Now I'm going to preview the article before I start reading. So I notice that there's kind of an introduction. I see a graphic that actually takes up almost a page and a half. Never skip graphics when you're reading. They're definitely helpful. And then I notice that there's kind of a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1, get set. Part 2, make it happen. So I'm predicting already it's going to be about setting that goal and then achieving that goal. And then finally at the end, it looks like there are maybe some tips for if you freeze and maybe if you don't achieve your goal. So after I preview, I'm all set to go ahead and read. Open up Instagram and your feed is flooded with #hair goals, #squad goals, and #relationship goals. But what about real life ambitions you have for yourself? So here, the word ambitions, I'm thinking of ambitions as another word for goals. We're not talking about having a mane like Kylie Jenner's or an entourage like Aaron Rodgers, but the big picture stuff you would love to accomplish or achieve. Now is the perfect time to name your goals and go after them. Not sure where to start? No worries. Scientists have figured out exactly what steps will take you from point A to nailed it. So I chose to underline that last part because I feel like that's where the main idea of this entire article is really previewed. Up here we have a kind of a catchy opening or a hook. The author is using some social media references and talking about famous people. But ultimately down here, we get that preview of what the article is about. And when I think of scientists, I think of researchers. So in my own words, summarizing this, I'm just going to say research shows that there are some key steps people can take to achieve their goals. So let's see, research shows that there are So I said, research shows that there are some key steps people should take to achieve their goals. And I think that's going to be the main focus of this article. So I'm noticing with the graphic, step 1, write it down. I notice the start here. Step 2, talk it up. When I think about talking it up, I think about like sharing with others or tell others. Step 3, break it into smaller chunks, kind of like what we're doing right now with our reading, but small steps or sections or even like kind of mini goals. And then re-evaluate regularly. This is where I can use a strategy I learned about in English class, the inside, outside, outside strategy. I noticed the word evaluate and so again. So go back and evaluate your goal again and again. So now I'm going to go ahead to the next section. I'm going to model for you how I annotate this part, and then I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and have you independently annotate part 2. All right, so when I look at part 1, part 1 says, get set. First, you need to figure out a goal, something that passes the SMART test. So I notice that this is an acronym, and then I see that each of the letters is highlighted below. So I know that below it's going to talk about that acronym. So is it specific? It should be really clear what you expect to accomplish, says Bev Bachel, author of What Do You Really Want? How to Set a Goal and Go For It. I want to record more of my music is a bit woolly, but I want to complete a 4-song demo by the end of summer is crystal clear. Well, I'm noticing the details here, 4 songs, as opposed to just I want to record more music. So I'm going to say that specific is really just clear and detailed. And that's it. That's what I'm going to do for my little summary, that's what it means to be specific. Measurable. You should be able to measure your progress and quantify your success. So stating I want to have more spending money doesn't pass the test, but I want to earn $50 this month does. So here I'm noticing that it is specific and clear, but there's actually, when I think of like quantifying, it actually includes a number or an amount. So it includes number or amount, or maybe just something that you can actually count when I think of quantifying. Action-oriented. Can you envision, so I know when I think of envision, can you see the steps that will get you to your goal? If so, your goal passes the test. The goal also needs to be something that's in your control. So in your control. Says Lisa M. Schaub, author of The Self-Esteem Workbook for Teens. Winning a getaway to go to a Demi Lovato and DJ Khaled show isn't an action-oriented goal since it's up to chance, but saving up for tickets may be. Okay, so I can control like saving my money, but I can't set a goal to like win these tickets. So in other words, I'm going to say, so steps have to be in my control. I'm going to just abbreviate within my control. Realistic. Is the last time a freshman got the lead in the school play, if the last time was in 2006, making it your goal could be aiming too high. A teacher, coach, or parent can help you determine if you've really got a shot or if you should adjust expectations. Remember, what's realistic for you is different from what's doable for your best friend or older sister. So in other words, is it possible? Is it likely? Is it possible given hard work? Can it really happen? And then finally, time-bound. With no end date in mind, you may put off that big goal forever. While some goals have a deadline built in, you may have to set your own target date. I'll master playing that Sam Smith ballad by May is more motivating than I'll master it someday. Okay, so I'm going to make a point with time-bound. Set an end date. Don't leave it open-ended. Now I'm going to go back up here and I'm just going to write, because really what part 1 was about, I'm just going to summarize, I'm going to use that acronym, SMART goal. In other words, a good goal, one that I can achieve, setting myself up for success, right? So at this point, I'd like you to pause the video and I'd like you to go ahead and just go through part 2 in the same way that I did. I really chunked the text into each paragraph, and that works well for this article. Some people like to look at sections and draw like a line under sections, so that's a possibility as well. So go ahead and pause the text, read part 2, and then come on back. So now that you've had a chance to take a look at part 2, I'm going to show you what I did. So your part 2 does not have to look exactly like mine, but I basically went through each section, put it into my own words. So in terms of writing it down, put it where you'll see it. In terms of talking it up, I felt like this section was really about not just telling everybody, but telling my supporters, the people that will encourage me. On the back side, part 3, to me was really about creating some mini goals that'll help to achieve the big one. And part 4 was to really just readjust according to those mini goals. So I went ahead and wrote down then, I went back to this part 2 like I went back to part 1, and I said, I tried to, in my own words, put what I felt those 4 steps were. So again, it makes me understand it better because I'm reviewing it in my mind, but I'm also putting it into my own words. At this point, you're all set to finish up the rest of the article, the what if I come up short section and the help I'm frozen section. Good luck.